Chattanooga is the fourth largest city in the state of Tennessee. It sits along the border of two states, Tennessee and Georgia, along the Tennessee River. As of 2020, the population came in at 181,099 residents, and that number is expected to increase due to the rapid growth in the metropolitan area. It is known for certain scenic city attractions, such as the Chattanooga Choo Choo, Ruby Falls, the Tennessee Aquarium, and Rock City. However, despite the city's largest tourist attractions, Chattanooga is also known for its deep, dark secrets of hauntings that plague the city. Whether it's the poltergeists that frequent hotels, the murdered Civil War soldiers that make appearances, the faded images of indigenous native peoples dancing around campfires, or the sightings of the undead among cemeteries and college campuses, the city is filled with the repercussions of the past. Follow me down the rabbit hole as we explore more hauntings in my original hometown and uncover some of the most terrifying places to live and visit. This is Haunted Hometown Horror Stories, Season 2. The Chattanooga National Military Park is located in northern Georgia and eastern Tennessee. It consists of four major areas such as the Chickamauga Battlefield, the Missionary Ridge, Lookout Mountain Battlefield, and Moccasin Bend. Also, it serves as a historic site for two of the American Civil War battles, which include the Chattanooga Campaign and the Battle of Chickamauga. Consequently, the landmark is filled with plenty of memorials and monuments from the bloody, brutal, and historic time, including the ghosts of its participants. History and origins. As mentioned in the last installment of this series about the UTC campus and Confederate Cemetery, we reviewed a little bit about the Chickamauga Battlefield and the Chattanooga battles. Fun fact, the word Chickamauga was named by the Cherokee Indians in the area, and it means River of Death. The deadly combat in this region took place in 1863 and was the second most fatal and bloody battle in the entire Civil War. The Union troops captured the city of Chattanooga and were headed down to Atlanta, Georgia. This notion was put into place by General Ulysses S. Grant in order to drive the Confederate Army deeper into the South and to divide and conquer it. They were led by General William Rosecrans. The battle was so severe that some reports say that over 37,000 soldiers were assassinated from both armies in just 2 days, from September 28th through the 20th. As a result, deceased soldier bodies were buried very quickly so that the remaining army members could move on. This means that there were a large number of unmarked graves and tombs that were discovered later down the line during construction projects. This includes many Union soldiers whose bodies were left out for weeks on the battlefield. They were eventually thrown into unmarked graves by their victorious rivals, the Confederate Army. The hauntings and legends. For decades, people have reported seeing apparitions of these soldiers both at the UTC campus and Confederate Cemetery, as well as the Chickamauga Battlefield. Some of the infamous ghosts that were seen were as follows. Old Green Eyes. The most popular and notable ghost seen at the Chickamauga Battlefield is called Old Green Eyes, or Chickamauga Green Eyes to some locals. Witnesses say that the spirit is a former Confederate soldier with glowing green eyes. The legend states that the soldier had his head blown off by a war cannon. The soldier is also said to have fallen off of his horse and was later stampeded by other horses right after, whom ran away with the soldier's head in the middle of all the chaos. Also, it says that the other soldiers that buried him failed to find his head and only buried his body. Consequently, His spirit was left to roam around the battlefield areas to find his head. This is how he became known as the Headless Horseman of Chickamauga. But then there's also another spirit that has that name too. We'll get into that later. On the other hand, some believe that he wasn't a murdered soldier after all, but instead a beast whose presence predates the war and still haunts the grounds to this day. Other legends stated that he appears as half man and half beast. They described him as having long, stringy hair down his waist and green, eerie, glowing eyes along with sharp fangs. Now, according to the Native American legend, it is a monster that was thrown from village to village prior to the start of the war. Some say that this is the same creature that roamed around the battlefield among the corpses once the war was over. The Lady in White. Throughout the years, citizens and paranormal experts have reported seeing a ghostly lady in white roaming around the national park. This legend states that this is the woman of a murdered battle soldier, and now she is stuck in the afterlife searching for his body due to him being buried without a tombstone. Onlookers say that she is dressed in an all-white, long, flowing dress and frequents the graves, the fields, and the woods in the neighboring areas both day and night. The Headless Horseman. Another popular ghost is said to be the alleged apparition of Lieutenant Colonel Julius Gershey, whom is a respectable soldier that was murdered by a cannonball during a battle. Unfortunately, a large stampede of horses is stated to have ran by him, smashing his head and dragging it several yards away from the officer's body. Shortly after the accident, the other soldiers found his body. Consequently, he was dubbed the Headless Horseman. Once visitors reported seeing an eerie headless figure riding horseback through the woods at nighttime. However, other reports say that Lieutenant Colonel Gershey was actually murdered during the Battle of Stones River near Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and not Chickamauga, Georgia. So he is said to be a different ghost from Old Green Eyes altogether. Paranormal occurrences. Over the years, there have been many paranormal sightings from frightened visitors on several different occasions. They notified authorities of seeing strange flickering lights in the distance. The regulars say that the lights are from the lights of lanterns carried by the former girlfriends and wives looking for their deceased and or wounded husbands. Other reports mention the feeling of being watched constantly, especially in the woods after nightfall. There were also visitors that smelled gunpowder and saw thick fog appear as if gunshots were freshly fired during the battle. Strangely enough, the fog would disappear just as quickly as it was visible. Residents whose properties neighbor the park have reported hearing creepy disturbances such as crying, gunshots, moaning, and the sound of army soldiers marching in unison. Moreover, in 1960, there were rumblings of a man whom had climbed the Wilder Tower, which is 85 feet tall, and fell inside of it. Later, it was stated that he believed he was jumping out of the tower from a ground level window. Instead, he fell down 25 feet. Amazingly, he survived the fall, but he was paralyzed from it. Present day. Present day, the Chickamauga Battle Visitor Center is open to the public for visits and is located at the north end of the Chickamauga Battlefield. There's a museum with exhibits that show the Battle of Chickamauga, the campaign for Chattanooga, and Fuller gun collection. There's also a resident bookstore administered there, presented by America's National Parks. An orientation film is shown to visitors every half hour. The center is open daily from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., but it is closed on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Also, several guided and self-guided tours are held on the property, and several different locations permit picnicking for patrons. There's also hiking trails for patrons to enjoy as well. Overall, the park is a place to preserve and protect the history of the events that took place in both Georgia and Tennessee. The two states claim ownership of the battlefield and have strongly fought to preserve the history and to acknowledge the Native American presence that reaches back over 12,000 years into the area's past. All right, thank you so much for watching. This concludes episode 7 of the Hauntings of the Chickamauga Battlefield. I will see you all in episode 8. Happy Halloween. Until next time, protect your energy.